Merhaba again and good evening. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Shehribanu. I'm an arts and culture assistant here at Yunus Institute, London, Turkey's cultural home. We are Turkey's Cultural Diplomacy Institute, actually, opened in 2010. We have over 85 branches all over the world. And we organize a variety of events such as screenings like this one and concerts and talks, anything you can think of in terms of arts and culture, basically. And today we are gathered for the exclusive screening, private screening of Neandria, the latest movie directed by Reha Erdem, one of the best directors from Türkiye. I myself is a fan of his movies. Korkuyorum Anne, many others are among my favorites. And we will also have a panel. Screening will be followed by a panel on sustainable filmmaking, and it will be moderated by UK's Critics Circle member and BBC broadcaster Phillip Bergson. And the panel will include Dr. Ekin Gündüz Özdemirci and Nurten Bayraktar from EkoFilm, Sustainable Production Platform, Environmental Humanities Center, Cappadocia University, Türkiye. Without further ado, let's get started with the screening of the film and enjoy the evening.
Rüyamda boğulduğumu gördüm. Boğulmuşum. Öldüm sanıyorlar. Sudan çıkarıyorlar. Bir şey duyuyorum. Kalkıp koşamıyorum ama kıpırdayamıyorum. Ölmedi diye bağırmak istiyorum. Sesim çıkmıyor. Korkunçtu. Suna!
Thank you for coming tonight, and I hope you found this film original and stimulating. It's a new film, it's a brand new film. It had its world premiere, I think, last year in the festival in Warsaw, and then was shown at the Thessaloniki Festival, and it has opened in Turkey in cinemas last month. So this is a very exclusive possibility for you to see it. Of course, he's a known director, and I think the cast, you will agree, will become well known or better known. We want to talk about the film in a certain context. Would you like to suggest that, or?
The reason why we are here today is, in fact, we, as the Cappadocia University in Turkey, we are now having a project at University London, and the project is about starting environmental sustainability film practices in Turkey. It's already being doing, for the last. And so maybe you can just continue about the project, and then we will talk about what they did while they were shooting Neandria.
Okay. So this is a project funded by British Council Going Global Partnerships Program, and as Nurten said, we are running this with Brunel University London, and our connection with Reha Erdem is that his production company, Atlantic Film, is one of the supportive partners of this project. And another characteristic of this movie is that this is one of the first sustainable filmmaking examples in Turkey, in local context. So one of the first initiatives, and we studied this film as a case study within our project, and we continue working with Reha Erdem and Atlantic Film Company on sustainable filmmaking, on developing sustainable filmmaking in the Turkish film industry, film and media industry. So that's how we are connected. And as you could see in the beginning of the film, there was a remark. It was saying this film was shot with a certain ecological consciousness, or in an environmental friendly manner, something like that. So actually that's the subject of our project, and that's supposed to be the subject of our short speech today. What sustainable filmmaking means, and how was the sustainable filmmaking process of Neandria particularly, and what is the sort of future of this in Turkey and in the world in general.
And is this something that begins at the script stage? Where can it be controlled, as it were, pre-controlled?
Yeah, actually it's like two-sided. There are two aspects of sustainable filmmaking. So one aspect is the production process, sustainable production, and the other aspect is the content, as you mentioned, sustainable storytelling, or environmental friendly storytelling. What we can see in the film, as you all notice, the film has a very specific environmental discourse in the story of mining, and a critical perspective about mining activities, and the youth, young people participating to climate activism, sort of. These are quite openly expressed in the film. And we can say that in Reha Erdem's films in general, there's a particular ecological sensitivity all the time. There's a sort of intuitive approach to human and non-human nature relationships. In general, he always has that in his films, but in this film, it's the first time that he has a more open discourse about environmental issues, environmental problems, we can say. So it's much more prominent compared to his previous films. And in parallel to that, they decided to make the production process sustainable as well, in parallel to the discourse of the film. So they wanted to take a sort of consistent stance in terms of production and the content together. Yeah, it all starts with the storytelling, so ecological consciousness that we can observe in the story, but also it expands to the material process. It expands to the production phase as well, this film.
Is this something that actually adds an expense to shooting the film, or in fact reduces the expense because they are more ecologically aware and perhaps use fewer locations, I don't know, use fewer actors, whatever? How does this manifest itself then after the script has been agreed?
And that was shot voluntarily in a sustainable way as well. That was a sustainable production too. And we studied that as a case study. Actually, we have a website, EkoFilmplatform.com, and in that website, if you are interested, you can read more about both Neandria and this other film I just mentioned, like detailed examination of their sustainable production processes. And there are some other films coming, short films, another feature film in Turkey, but we can say that it's not like the UK or the United States right now, but in the UK and the United States, for instance, in the leading film industries in the world, we can say, this issue is quite developed, we can say. Actually, UK, the British film industry is quite a leader in that subject. They have their efforts of sustainable filmmaking is going on since the beginning of 2000s, and it's BAFTA and the BBC together led the way, started this initiative, and there's a consortium entitled Albert Consortium connected to BAFTA right now, like providing trainings, sustainable filmmaking trainings, and providing some research on the subject. They have open access materials for the film industry. So, and in the United States, it's similar issue. So it's the Producers Guild of America who is leading the way. So I want to just mention the difference between Turkey and these leading film industries and how this sustainability initiatives have started in the film industry. In these leading film industries, we can see that there are national bodies and bodies like BAFTA or Producers Guild of America who are leading the way. But in Turkey, what we observe is that mostly it's the independent filmmakers, independent film companies, voluntary actions have started this movement in Turkish film industry. And now what we create under this project, with this British Council project, this platform, EkoFilm Sustainable Production Platform, there's a short film about the platform as well. We can watch it right now. And this platform can provide a sort of a collective for these practices in the Turkish film industry in near future. We hope that, just like what BAFTA is doing or PGA is doing in the other countries.
Does this mean that platform is going to fund some of the films?
No, not right now.
not right now because we are not, of course, a BAFTA or whatever. And in Turkey, it's quite different, you know. In Turkey, it's the Ministry of Culture who is the leading funding organization for the film productions, and it's connected to the government. So it's a governmental body. But BAFTA is quite independent in that sense, and also in the United States it's similar. So we don't have that independent funding bodies in Turkey. So in the near future, this platform can work together with the Ministry of Culture. We don't know, and we will see it on the way. But at that time, maybe we can create some opportunities for the productions who are sustainable, some advantages for the fundings for these kind of productions, maybe. So that's something we wish, and that's how it is going on in the world as well. For instance, in the UK, they provide some specific encouragements for sustainable productions. So maybe we can just make that happen in Turkey in the future as well.
How does the collaboration work between the universities? You have Brunel here and Cappadocia. Is it exchange of students, exchange of materials, or?
It's more exchange of expertise, in fact, because Brunel University is an educational partner of BAFTA, so they are teaching it in every level of graduate and undergraduate education. And now they're kind of providing us what they are doing in their classes and what they are doing and also they shoot films with their students, so they're kind of sharing expertise with us. And also we are developing educational modules and guides for the Turkish film industry, by the way. So the beginning step for us is providing knowledge about it for the film industry. Then the other steps will be, coming later, like funding programs or like, we don't have a film department there, by the way. But we have Environmental Humanities Center. It's the only and first center dedicated to environmental issues in the social sciences. So that's why we are connected to the project, because we also have other research projects and so on. And but the main focus is about raising environmental consciousness among all levels of the society, including the industries and the common people.
Should we throw it open to any questions? Any questions or comments? Any budding filmmakers or budding environmentally conscious filmmakers? How many of you actually see on a regular basis Turkish films? How many of you see new Turkish films regularly? Yes, please.
I have a question.
Yes.
Please. I think it was 2012. There is a Sustainable Film Festival called in Izmir. I don't know. I don't know how many years it's repeated. Maybe it's still going on. Well, I was teaching sustainable. Sorry.
Is it in Bergamo?
No, it's in
Sustainable
Izmir.
Film Festival.
Yeah, Sustainable Film Festival, and it was, and I was knowing who was organized. Pınar Öncel is the industrial designer, and who was, she was still doing the, trainings. She had expertise in sustainability.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this festival going on. So it was traveling from Izmir to Istanbul. I don't know if it is still going on. But when you say that, because I remember in that festival there are many. I'm not sure it was all Turkish or international. I think it was international, but all issues. When you say that movie is just produced as sustainability, so but we have some other movies like local environmental issues. I can think of some other Turkish movies the scenario is about all environmentalist or local knowledge, you know, and slowness and things. So when you say that this is the first film based on the sustainable mindset, so what is the difference from the others?
We should separate it.
Yes.
We should make it clear.
Yes.
Of course, not as a story. We are saying that as the material process, as a production.
Okay.
So a sustainable production means it's not the story, it's not the context, it's not the content, but it's how they make the film. All these material issues, like as we just spoke about, like providing food, using energy, electricity, using fossil fuels, or transportation,
like waste management.
waste management.
Because especially bigger productions like blockbusters, you can't imagine how much waste they produce and how much energy they use. It's a real one of the biggest problematic sectors in the whole world.
Maybe that makes things
Yeah,
more
if you
clear.
mention about the details so we can understand.
Yeah, I know this is a quite specific subject, but this is from our, maybe we can go back. This is from our report that we prepared for Neandria, and also the other film I mentioned. And here we are providing some numbers. It says, what does it mean, a ton of carbon dioxide? Like, you know, the environmental footprint, ecological footprint, it's defined in as carbon dioxide. So 1 ton of carbon dioxide, for instance, carbon emission, means a round trip between Istanbul and London, or it's equal to 2.5 tons of waste, or it's equal to, for instance, 10 kilogram of meat production, so on. And when we go to the next slide, and when we think about the 1 ton of carbon emission is equal to all these numbers we just talked about, and when we look at a film production, the environmental impact, environmental footprint of a film production, we can see that it emits between 2,500 to 3,500 tons of carbon dioxide. So when we look at these numbers, and a 1 hour TV production, it emits around like approximately 10 tons of carbon dioxide. So when we think about the numbers, think about 1 ton of carbon emission, and think about 2,500 tons of carbon emission. So we can understand the really serious carbon footprint of the film industry. And sustainable filmmaking tries to lower this carbon emission, lower this carbon footprint. So transform the environmental impact of a film shooting in a positive manner.
Let me talk about the numbers about
Neandria. So we can go to the next, maybe there are some,
So by using LED lights and drone lights rather than generators, they saved 1,500 liters of fossil fuels. And we are talking about a limited budget, a small-scale film production here. Neandria was like 40 people as the crew. And today I learned that the third film of Iron Man was shot by a crew of more than 3,000 people. So when you imagine what is going on all around the world, it's unbelievable. So here again, please keep in mind that Neandria was only 40 people, and that was what they saved. And also by not using caravans, which is very common in film industry, they avoided 42 tons of grey water, that is polluted water. And other than that, they had no flights. International and national flights is a lot of problems here as well. So rather than using planes, they had road transportation. They didn't provide any private cars for the crew, for the actors and actresses. Only the director and the producers had one private car, and all other crew they commuted all together. That's one of the key issues for any production, by the way. But as you said, it all started during writing the script or planning the shootings. Pre-production is highly important here because they need to plan all the shootings and the locations to avoid commuting, to avoid transportation, to avoid flights and so on. And also for accommodation, it's one of the problematic issues for the industry again. They stayed in the village rather than staying in the city center. And the film was shot in Çanakkale, by the way, but in a very far away village. So it was a little bit difficult for the crew, but they were dedicated. And one of the key questions here, okay, we asked the question, where does it come from? Where does all that energy, where does all that water and the things are coming from? But there's another important question, where does it go? So here, waste management makes a big difference. And by not using plastic bottles, for example, they say they avoided 7,000 plastic bottles. And again, I'm reminding you that this is a small-scale production and that they just avoided 7,000 of plastic bottles. And by not printing the script or the call sheets, they saved 4,000 papers. And they had recycling a kind of collaboration with the local government for recycling, and there was one interesting incident. In fact, when they wanted to shoot a scene under a foggy weather, there was no fog at that time, and instead of using smoke machine, the crew just proposed a spontaneous solution. They burned the herbs and the food and the plants there, like incense, and that was how they created a foggy weather. All natural sources, and they just came up with the idea suddenly. And this is really important because it was first experience for all the crew. And even if in one singular experience, it's observable that their mindsets and their behaviors started to change. And they say that after they started some other films, they felt a little bit weird because they saw people drinking from plastic bottles, and they were just throwing away all those bottles, and they felt weird. And also for Neandria, there's one thing at the bottom of the slide. They made more than making a film, because they shot the film in a village, in a local place where there are limited resources. They left more than what they found in the village. For example, they bought an automatic water pump system to reduce less water, to avoid water waste, and also they built a kind of public toilet for the village because the crew needed it and they didn't have, and then they established it, and then of course they left it to the villagers. And also they donated all of the props, costumes, decorations to the villagers and to the village coffee house, kıraathane again. So they did what more than making a film, and that's really important as well, because you're all, I guess, I hear almost everybody was speaking in Turkish, so I suppose that almost all of you are from Turkey, and you know the local places. And most of the independent films are shot there. They shoot films in cars, in Yozgat, in some villages in Ankara, and so on. So having a good relationship with the local people means a lot. for those productions as well. So that's also the summarizing of Neandria's production.
I can add something about this last item here. This is very important. I think for instance, again, the British film industry, there's this British standard of sustainability for the film industry. For instance, there's a specific standard, and that has a very holistic approach. We should do that. We should do the same. We should handle the issue of sustainability in that manner. And what they did in Neandria, they shot the film. The filmmaking process was environmental friendly, but at the same time, they had good relationship with the local people, and they just provided some useful materials,
donations,
and
also they provided
to the public
for the villagers.
And some contributed to the infrastructure of the village and things like that. So we can say that it was in line with this holistic approach of sustainability, like social sustainability included as well, not only environmental aspect.
And they had no pressure, to do that, but they did it, and the crew felt they were doing something valuable. That is really important for anyone on the earth, because we know that we need to do something for the environment, but we are not sure what we can do, and we are not sure about the impacts of our behaviors. So they saw it, they experienced it, and they felt they were doing something valuable, and that led them to change behaviors as a professional, first of all.
Is the project likely to then expand to other universities or to other countries that you've already initiated, between Brunel and Cappadocia? Is that something that would be useful to do, or is being contemplated?
Why not? Yeah. Why not? Well, for now, the project will be running for 2 years, and the goals are already set, providing educational modules and some guides for the Turkish industry. But in near future, why not? Yeah.
The world is your oyster, or not? Yes, please.
Just want to say two things. One is the filmmakers, Turkish filmmakers. They are very special, I think, especially in the film sector. Because they can lead many things in Turkey. They are well educated, but also that they have the sense of all the society. They care about the Turkish society and everything. You see that all these events, earthquake. Remember, they took to all this equipment, and everyone just went there to help them. They have kind of the sense like that. They have very sensitive about these social issues. And the second thing, I just wonder if it is part of your subject, technology manufacturing. For example, when we buy cameras, next year is going to be buy the new one. And do you think this can be one of your subjects?
Definitely, digital waste, e-waste we call it. So it's an important issue. We change the technological equipments very frequently, and the film industry is quite well known for that as well. So there's a discussion about that. If the digitalization in the film industry, if it is more environmental friendly than the traditional film, analog film, but most people agree that the analog film, as it's a very chemical process, its environmental impact is much more than the digital. But as I say, there is not a very specific or
there's a big question mark
research
about digitalization.
There are also buying the camera, and next year we have to change it.
And they changed the whole system.
Standards, screening, everything is changing. So you can't keep up
Yeah.
with it. So,
What you just said, you said that if it's a low budget film, its
Yeah,
environmental
exactly.
impact is probably lower, and it's definitely true. I mean, it's quite like I always think about it as I mean, in parallel to that, like when you think about the countries as well, like developed countries, they have much more environmental impact, and they are the biggest contributors to the ecological crisis. But when you look at the underdeveloped countries or less developed countries, they have less environmental impact than the other countries. So it's quite similar to that. I mean, when the consumption level increases, the environmental impact increases as well. Yeah. So.
How long
Yes,
did
I
it
think
take you to make this film?
This film,
Yes.
Neandria. How long did it take? We mentioned it in the 6 weeks. It was a 6 weeks shooting. Mhm.
What was the budget? What was the cost?
We don't know about
That's
it.
not the information they share.
Yeah.
I thought it's
They
public
don't share
information.
such
I see.
information.
No.
maybe funded by the
Maybe.
Ministry of, you can see that this.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
TRT.
funded by TRT,
By
TRT actually.
It's
TRT.
funded by TRT.
TRT?
TRT.
TRT.
TRT 2
No, but TRT now
It's a special
provides
program.
funding for feature films as well. So they benefited from TRT funding.
Do
So
you think the world situation is irreversible?
sorry.
The world situation is reversible, so I mean you made wonderful contribution and you made people aware of what's
Mhm.
happening. They should be aware. But is it reversible, this situation? The world situation.
The environmental impact, I didn't quite understand.
Yes, yes.
Do you say it maybe?
You understood.
Is it too late?
Can we change the system?
You're asking a more general question about ecological crisis. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, of course, we need some changes in a wider level, of course. The governments and the decision makers.
There's the
but-
possibility because during COVID lockdowns, you know that the world was getting better. So there's the possibility if we do something.
If we actually stop consuming, isn't it? Like, I think the most sustainable anything, sustainable architecture, sustainable filmmaking is not doing it actually. I mean, when we do something, we consume, we consupt, and I respect. I mean, this is a big project. I love it. But as an architect, I mean, this sustainability is a big issue in our industry, and these skyscrapers, these big companies, they call themselves like we are doing sustainable architecture. Excuse my language, but it's bullshit. I mean,
That's greenwashing. That's
exactly.
greenwashing. Big companies
True.
showing
I mean,
themselves
the
environmental
most
friendly.
sustainable architecture is like the houses you show on these movies, like villages, stones, natural products. But when you build these glass towers, steel towers, it's not sustainable at all. I mean, they're just. Actually, I want to ask a question. I just don't want to manifest. Do you think this concept is applicable to like big movies like Iron Man? Can you
They
make a
do,
case
they
study
do.
like that? I mean,
They have to
They
do
are
it.
doing that.
In the UK, all productions
hmm.
have to measure their carbon
Lovely.
footprint.
Of course, this is, open to debate. I mean, the concept of sustainability is open to debate. And up to what point can we be sustainable under the system? So this is a system issue, you know. We know the name of the system, all of us. It's capitalism, and under capitalism, is it really possible to function in a really sustainable way? So no is the definitive answer. But I always say it to the students as well. We can open holes in the system, and this is a way of opening a hole, I think.
Rather than giving up, isn't it?
Yeah.
One thing I just wanted to say, if we stop
Well, time may not be running out for the world, but I'm afraid it is running out for this event.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you.
And look out for Turkish films in the future.
Sen sporcu musun?
Atletizm.
Uzun mesafe mi?
5000 almaya koşacağım.
Maşallah.
Biz ısınmayız.
Sadece yarışmayı pek sevmiyorum.
Rekabet yoksa suçlama da olmaz.
Antik şehre nereden geliyor acaba?
İyiliğin iyi olduğunu bilen herkes kötülüğü yaratır.
Lafla bak şu lafla. İşte şampiyonumuz Suna Kaya. O kişi ben değilim. Suna başka biri.
Aşk yok hiç burada, hiç yok, hiç yok. Aşk.
Bana bir şey yapmazsınız değil mi?
Suna 2 turda.
Senin neyin eksik o kızlardan? Peki aslında kimsiniz?
Sen koş gel.
Sana risk yok. Risk bize.
Korkuyorum ne olur.
Korkma, buradaki bütün evlerin duvarları taştan. Korkma, ya da bilirsin tüm kuralları baştan. Korkma, düşürebilir düşünceler kralları tahttan. Korkma.
Şimdi de terörist mi kesildin başımıza?
Niye? Çünkü tehlikeli. Ne yapıyorsun be sen?
Bozacağım bu düzeni ben, göreceksin babacığım.
Vücudumda ıslak ıslak görüşmek isterdim.